Something about the wire transfer form made my hand freeze halfway through signing. I looked up at Frank Chen, the bank manager, and saw his jaw tighten. We'd known each other for 30 years. He'd handled my business accounts, my mortgage, even the loan for my daughter's wedding. Frank never looked worried. But right now, his eyes were locked on the investment company's name, and his face had gone pale. I was about to wire $2 million to Horizon Peak Capital Management. My son-in-law Brad had set up everything. The paperwork looked professional. Returns of 18% annually, he'd promised. Low risk, high reward. After 6 months of grief and confusion following Margaret's death, having Brad guide me through the financial maze felt like a blessing. He worked in insurance, understood money, spoke that corporate language I never learned running my hardware store for 40 years. Frank cleared his throat. "Tom, can we talk in my office? Just for a minute." Something in his voice made my stomach drop. I followed him past the teller windows, past the vault, into that glass-walled office where I'd signed 100 documents over the years. Frank closed the door, then pulled the blinds. That's when I knew something was very wrong. "Tom, I need you to trust me. Don't wire that money. Not today. Not to that company." He sat down heavily, running his hand over his face. "I can't explain everything right now, but I need 24 hours to check something. Can you give me that?" I held the unsigned transfer form in my hand. $2 million. Nearly half of what the insurance company had paid after Margaret's accident. The accident that still didn't make sense to me. She was the most careful driver I knew. 38 years of marriage. Not a single fender bender. Then one rainy Tuesday, her car left the road on a straight stretch of Route 47. No other vehicles involved. No witnesses. The police called it driver error, maybe a medical episode. But Margaret was healthy. Just had her physical 3 months before. "Frank, what's going on?" He shook his head. "I'm probably wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But there's something about this company that's bothering me. Tom, you've been my friend since college. Your family's been banking with us since your father opened his first account in 1962. If I'm wrong, I'll apologize, and you can wire the money tomorrow. But if I'm right," he trailed off. I looked at the form again, Brad's handwriting on the sticky note attached. "Dad, just sign at the bottom and give it to Frank. This opportunity won't last. Trust me." Trust. That word kept appearing in our conversations lately. "Trust me, Dad. This is a good investment. Trust me. The insurance money needs to work for you. Trust me. I know what I'm doing." I folded the form and put it in my jacket pocket. 24 hours. Frank's shoulders sagged with relief. "Thank you. Go home. Don't tell Brad yet. Let me make some calls." Walking to my truck, I felt that same uneasy sensation I'd had 6 months ago when Brad first offered to help with the insurance paperwork. He'd been so eager. Too eager. At the time, I'd chalked it up to him being a good son-in-law, wanting to ease my burden. My daughter Sarah was drowning in grief, barely functional. Brad stepping up seemed natural, but small things had bothered me. The way he'd asked detailed questions about the policy amount before the claims adjuster even called. How he'd volunteered to handle all the paperwork, insisting I didn't need to read every page. "It's standard insurance language, Dad. You'll just get confused. Trust me." I drove home to the empty house. 6 months, and I still expected to see Margaret in the kitchen when I opened the door. Still reached for the phone to call her when something interesting happened. The life insurance money sat in my account like a gravestone. $4.2 million. That's what Margaret's life was worth, according to Metropolitan Life Insurance Company. Policy number ML884729. Beneficiary: Thomas Robert Walsh. Cause of death: accidental. Processed by Bradford James Mitchell, Senior Claims Adjuster. My son-in-law had processed his own mother-in-law's death claim. At the time, he'd framed it as a kindness. "Dad, I'll make sure this goes smoothly. I'll expedite everything. You won't have to wait months." And he'd delivered. The money arrived in 6 weeks. Record time, according to Frank. I made coffee and sat at the kitchen table. Margaret's reading glasses were still on the counter. Her coffee mug with the faded world's best mom print that Sarah had made in 4th grade. I'd kept everything exactly as she'd left it. Grief counselor said that was normal, that I'd know when I was ready to pack things away. 7 months later, I still wasn't ready. My phone buzzed. Text from Brad. Did you wire the money? They need confirmation by 5 p.m. I stared at the message. Why was there a deadline? Brad had said this was a standing opportunity, available anytime. Now suddenly there was a 5 o'clock cutoff? I texted back. Ran into some delays at the bank. Tomorrow morning. 3 dots appeared immediately, then disappeared, then appeared again. Finally. Dad, this is time sensitive. Can you go back today? My thumb hovered over the keyboard. Every instinct in my body was screaming. But I typed, "Bank's closed. First thing tomorrow. I promise." The dots appeared and disappeared 3 times before his response came. "Okay, but don't miss this." I set the phone down and noticed my hand was shaking. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Margaret, about Brad's unusual helpfulness, about Frank's worried face. At 2 in the morning, I got up and went to my office. I'd kept every piece of paperwork from the accident and insurance claim in a manila folder. I spread it across the desk and started reading. The police report. Rainy conditions. Vehicle left roadway at approximately 3:47 p.m. No skid marks. No evidence of mechanical failure. Driver likely experienced sudden medical event or momentary inattention. The insurance claim. Filed by Bradford Mitchell on behalf of beneficiary Thomas Walsh. Death benefit. $4.2 million. Policy had been increased to that amount just 18 months earlier. I'd forgotten about that. Brad had suggested it during a family dinner. Dad, with inflation and everything, you should increase your coverage. You and Mom both, just to be safe. Margaret and I had talked about it. Seemed excessive, but Brad knew insurance. We'd signed the papers. Monthly premium went from $340 to $890. I'd grumbled about the cost, but Margaret said, "Tom, if something happens to either of us, at least the other won't have to worry about money." Something happens. How had Brad phrased it? I flipped through my memory, trying to remember that dinner conversation. He'd been very specific about increasing Margaret's policy, not mine. Said something about her being younger, better rate, more coverage for less money. That had made sense at the time. I pulled out my laptop and did something I should have done weeks ago. I searched for Horizon Peak Capital Management. The website looked professional, sleek design, photos of smiling investors, testimonials, a downtown Chicago address, 18% annual returns, team of experienced advisors. Everything looked legitimate. Then I clicked on our team. 5 names, 5 professional headshots. I reverse image searched the first photo. Stock image from Shutterstock. The second photo. Same thing. All 5 senior advisors were stock photos. My chest tightened. I searched for the Chicago address. The building existed, but according to Google Maps Street View, the suite number Brad had listed was a dental office. I searched for any news about Horizon Peak Capital. Nothing. No articles. No reviews. No mentions on investment forums. For a company claiming to manage $340 million in assets, they had 0 online presence beyond their own website. The website domain registration. Created 8 months ago. 2 months before Margaret died. I sat back in my chair, my heart pounding. Brad had created a fake investment company. But why? He'd already helped me get the insurance money. If he wanted to steal it, there were easier ways than this elaborate setup. Unless the insurance money was the plan all along. I opened a new search tab and typed, "How to investigate suspicious death." For 3 hours, I read. Private investigators, insurance fraud indicators, red flags in accident investigations. By the time the sun came up, I had a list of phone numbers and a sick feeling in my stomach. At 8 a.m., I called Frank. "I need a lawyer, and maybe a private investigator. I'll text you some numbers." "Tom, I'm sorry. I spent last night looking into Horizon Peak. It's a shell company. Website's fake, address is fake. Everything. I was going to call you this morning. Frank, I need to ask you something. The insurance payout. 4.2 million. That's a lot of money. It is. How common is it for someone to increase their life insurance policy 18 months before they die in a single car accident? Silence on the other end. Then, quietly, Tom, are you asking what I think you're asking? Margaret never had an accident in 38 years of driving. More silence. Tom, you need to talk to a lawyer before you talk to me about this. But yes, I'll send you a name. Jack Morrison, former prosecutor, now does private work. He's the best. I hung up and sat in Margaret's chair. The morning sun was coming through the kitchen window, hitting that spot where she always sat to read the paper. I closed my eyes and saw her face. The way she'd laugh when I told a bad joke. The way she'd squeeze my hand when we watched movies. The way she'd looked at Sarah on her wedding day, tears streaming down her face. Brad had been the one to suggest the outdoor wedding venue, right by his and Sarah's house. He'd been so helpful with planning, made all these connections, got them a great deal on everything. Brad, who worked in insurance. Brad, who'd suggested increasing Margaret's life insurance. Brad, who'd processed her death claim with record speed. Brad, who was now trying to get me to wire $2 million to a fake company. My phone rang. Sarah. I took a breath before answering. Hi, honey. Dad, Brad's upset. He said you didn't wire the money yesterday. He says this investment opportunity is closing and you're going to lose out. Can you please just do it today? Her voice sounded strained, tired. She'd been working double shifts at the hospital ever since Margaret died, throwing herself into nursing like it was the only thing keeping her afloat. Sarah, I need to ask you something. How are things with Brad? What? Dad, we're talking about your investment. Who more me? How are things with you two? She paused. Fine. Why? You just sound stressed. I'm always stressed. I work 60 hours a week. Mom's gone. You're alone in that big house. Everything's been hard, Dad. I know, honey. I know. So can you please just wire the money? Brad's been trying to help you. This is a good opportunity. How do you know it's good? Brad said so. He works in finance. Insurance, actually. Same thing. Dad, just trust him. He wants what's best for us. There was that word again. Trust. Sarah, when's the last time you and Brad took a vacation? What? Dad, what does that have to do with... Just answer me, she sighed. I don't know. 2 years ago, we went to Florida. Why? How'd you pay for it? Brad had some bonus from work. Dad, seriously, what is this about? Nothing. I'll handle the investment today. Love you, honey. I hung up before she could respond. Then I dialed the number Frank had texted me. Morrison, Investigations. Mr. Morrison, my name is Thomas Walsh. I need to hire you. I think my son-in-law might have killed my wife. The words hung in the air. Saying them out loud made them real. Made the past 6 months crystallize into something horrifying. Jack Morrison didn't sound surprised. Can you come to my office in an hour? I could. The office was in a strip mall between a nail salon and a Chinese restaurant. Jack Morrison was younger than I expected, maybe mid-40s, with tired eyes that had seen too much. His office was cramped but organized. File cabinets lined one wall. A whiteboard covered another, filled with notes and diagrams I couldn't decipher. I told him everything. The accident, the insurance increase, Brad's eagerness to help, the fake investment company, Frank's warning. Jack listened without interrupting, taking notes on a yellow legal pad. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair. Mr. Walsh, what you're describing is a fairly sophisticated insurance fraud scheme. If your son-in-law did this, he's been planning it for at least 2 years, maybe longer. Can you prove it? Maybe. But I need to be honest with you. Even if we prove the investment company is fake and Brad created it, that's just fraud. That doesn't prove he had anything to do with your wife's death. The police ruled it an accident. The insurance company paid out. To reopen that investigation, we'd need new evidence that the death wasn't accidental. What kind of evidence? Forensic evidence. Witness testimony. Something that contradicts the official report. Mr. Walsh, I've worked cases like this before. They're expensive, time-consuming, and they don't always end the way you want. Are you sure you want to go down this road? I thought about Margaret, about the empty house, About Sarah, exhausted and stressed, married to a man who might be a murderer. I'm sure. Okay, first thing, I need you to not wire that money. Brad's gonna push hard today. Don't do it. Make excuses. Say the bank has a hold on the funds, whatever. Buy me 48 hours. Then what? Then I start digging. I've got a contact at the state police who owes me a favor. I'll see if we can get another look at the accident report. I'll run background on Brad. Financial records, phone records, everything I can access legally. If there's something there, I'll find it. How much is this going to cost? My retainer is $10,000. That covers the first 100 hours. After that, we can discuss continuing or not. I wrote him a check without hesitation. What was $10,000 when $4.2 million was at stake? When Margaret's memory was at stake? Jack walked me to the door. Mr. Walsh, one more thing. If Brad is responsible for your wife's death, he's dangerous. Be careful. Don't confront him. Don't let him know you're investigating. Act normal. Act like you're still planning to make that investment. I nodded and drove home. My phone was full of texts from Brad. 5 messages, each more urgent than the last. The investment deadline had been extended to noon today. Special exception. Last chance. Don't miss out. I texted back, at the bank now, processing the wire. I wasn't at the bank. I was sitting in my truck in Jack Morrison's parking lot, hands shaking on the steering wheel. For the next 2 days, I played along. I told Brad there were banking complications, federal holds on large transfers, compliance reviews, all the bureaucratic excuses Frank had coached me on. Brad's texts became increasingly agitated. The friendly dad tone disappeared, replaced by shorter, sharper messages. This is ridiculous. Every day we wait costs you money. I'm trying to help you. On the 3rd day, Jack called me. We need to meet. I found something. I drove to his office, my heart hammering. Jack's whiteboard was now covered with photos, documents, and red strings connecting various elements like something from a crime show. Mr. Walsh, sit down. I sat. I ran your son-in-law's financials. Brad Mitchell is in serious debt. $220,000 in gambling losses over the past 3 years. He's been betting on sports through offshore accounts. The debt is spread across 5 different loan sharks and unregulated lending operations. Some of these people are not the type to accept late payments. My stomach turned. More interesting, the gambling debts started accumulating right around the time he suggested you and your wife increase your life insurance. 27 months ago. So he planned this. It looks that way. But here's where it gets complicated. I can't prove he caused the accident. The police report is clean. No evidence of tampering with the vehicle. No witnesses placing him near the scene. Your wife's car was totaled in the accident, then scrapped. No way to examine it now. So that's it? He gets away with it? Jack held up a hand. I'm not done. I sent my contact at the state police to look at the crash site. After 2 years, there's not much left. But he found something interesting. Skid marks about 40 yards before the point of impact. The original report said there were no skid marks. What does that mean? It means someone might have forced your wife off the road. Another vehicle. But there's no way to prove it now. However, it's enough to reopen questions about the accident. My contact is willing to take another look, but we need more. What more? We need Brad to confess, or we need to catch him in the act of fraud. The fake investment company is our best shot. If we can document Brad attempting to steal your money through this scheme, and if we can connect it to the insurance payout, we might have enough for prosecutors to look at the death investigation again. How do we do that? Jack pulled out a device that looked like a thick pen. This is a recording device. It's legal in this state as long as one party to the conversation consents. That party would be you. I need you to meet with Brad. Tell him you're ready to wire the money. But before you do, get him talking. Get him to explain the investment. Get details. Get him comfortable. If he incriminates himself, we've got him. My mouth went dry. You want me to wear a wire? Essentially, yes. It's not without risk. Brad might get suspicious. But it's the best play we have. I thought about Sarah. About grandchildren I might have someday. about Margaret's memory being tainted by the words accident when it might have been murder. When? Tomorrow. Invite Brad to lunch, somewhere public but quiet. Tell him you want to understand the investment better before you commit. Can you do that? I looked at the whiteboard, at Margaret's accident scene photos, at Brad's financial records, showing $220,000 in red ink. I can do that. That night, I called Sarah. Honey, I'm taking Brad to lunch tomorrow. That steakhouse he likes. I want to make things right. I've been difficult about this investment. She sounded relieved. Oh, Dad, thank you. He's been so stressed. This really means a lot. Stressed. Brad was stressed. I wondered how stressed Margaret had been in those final seconds when her car left the road. The next morning, Jack came to my house early and wired me up. The recording device went in my jacket pocket. A backup device was built into my watch. Redundancy, Jack explained. If one fails, we have the other. I met Brad at the steakhouse at noon. He was already there, sitting in a corner booth, checking his phone. He looked up when I approached and smiled. That easy, charming smile that had won over Sarah 11 years ago. The smile I'd trusted. Dad, good to see you. Thanks for making time. We shook hands. His palm was sweaty. We ordered. Brad got a whiskey, neat. I stuck with water. When the waiter left, Brad leaned forward. So, we're doing this today? The wire transfer? I want to understand it better first. Walk me through exactly how this investment works. His smile tightened slightly. Dad, we've been over this. You wire the money to Horizon Peak. They invest it in a diverse portfolio. You get 18% annual returns. Simple. But who runs Horizon Peak? I want to meet them. They're in Chicago. Very busy people. But I can arrange a call. I'd rather meet in person. Maybe I can drive up there. Brad's jaw clenched. Dad, these opportunities don't wait around. We need to move today. Why today? Because that's when the investment window closes. But you said that 3 days ago. Right. And I got them to extend it, as a favor to me. But I can't keep asking for extensions. I took a sip of water. Brad, how much debt are you in? His face went blank. What? Gambling debt. How much? The color drained from his face, then returned as red splotches on his cheeks. I don't know what you're talking about. $220,000. Offshore sports betting. 5 different loan sharks. He stood up abruptly. Who told you that? Sit down. Dad, I don't know where you're getting this information, but sit down, Brad. Something in my voice made him sit. His hands were shaking now. I know about Horizon Peak. I know it's fake. I know you created it 8 months ago. I know the team photos are stock images, and the Chicago address is a dental office. Brad's face had gone from red to gray. You're wrong. Am I? Should we call the number on their website? See who answers? He didn't respond. How long have you been planning this? Since before you suggested Margaret and I increase our life insurance. His eyes widened. Don't what? Don't ask questions about my wife's death? My wife, who never had an accident in 40 years, suddenly drives off the road on a clear stretch of highway? It was an accident, the police said. The police didn't know about your gambling debts. They didn't know about the insurance policy increase. They didn't know you'd created a fake investment company to steal the payout. Brad stood up again. This time I didn't stop him. I'm leaving. Sit down, or I call the police right now. He froze, looking at me, then at his phone, then back at me. Slowly, he sat. Tell me what happened to Margaret. It was an accident. Brad, I've hired a private investigator. I've hired a lawyer. The state police are reopening the case. You can tell me now, or you can tell them later. But either way, the truth is coming out. He put his head in his hands. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. The restaurant bustled around us, oblivious. Waiters delivering food, couples laughing at nearby tables. Normal life continuing while mine collapsed. Finally, Brad looked up. His eyes were wet. I never meant for anyone to get hurt. My chest constricted. What did you do? I had debts. Bad debts. The kind where people show up at your house at 3 a.m., where they threaten Sarah. I needed money fast. I couldn't think of any other way. So you killed my wife. No, I didn't kill her. I just made it happen. Explain that to me. He wiped his eyes. I have a friend who does mechanical work, under the table stuff. I paid him to mess with Margaret's brake lines. Not completely. Just enough that they'd fail under hard braking. I thought she'd have a minor accident, fender bender, something to make an insurance claim, but nothing serious. But that's not what happened. She was going faster than I expected. The brakes failed on a curve instead of at a stop sign. She couldn't slow down. The car went off the road and hit a tree. I didn't mean for her to die, Dad. I swear I didn't mean it. Every word felt like a knife. But you took the money anyway. I had to. The debts didn't go away. And then I thought, if I could just get you to invest some of it, I could pay off my debts and no one would know. I'd pay you back eventually, with the returns I said you'd get. There are no returns. It's a fake company. I know, but I'd put the money in real investments and then pay you back over time. You'd never know. I'd never know that you killed my wife and stole from me. He flinched. I didn't kill her. It was an accident. A terrible accident. An accident you caused. He had no response to that. I stood up, my legs shaky. Brad, you need to understand something. I've been recording this entire conversation. Everything you just said is on tape. I'm giving it to the police, the insurance company, and the prosecutor's office. You're going to prison. His face went through several emotions at once. Shock, fear, anger, desperation. Dad, please. Think about Sarah. Think about what this will do to her. I am thinking about Sarah. I'm thinking she deserves to know she's married to a man who killed her mother. I walked out of the restaurant. Brad didn't follow. I got in my truck and drove straight to Jack Morrison's office. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely hold the steering wheel. Jack met me at the door. I was listening on remote. We got everything. Tom, I'm so sorry. I couldn't speak. I just handed him the recording devices and sat down heavily. Within an hour, Jack had delivered the recordings to the state police and the county prosecutor. By that evening, Brad was in custody. The charges, insurance fraud, attempted theft, and the big one, negligent homicide. The mechanic who'd tampered with Margaret's car took a deal and testified. Brad's phone records showed he'd contacted the mechanic 2 days before the accident. The mechanic still had texts detailing exactly what Brad wanted done. Telling Sarah was the hardest thing I've ever done. Worse than identifying Margaret's body. Worse than the funeral. Worse than anything. She didn't believe me at first. Called me cruel. Said I was making it up because I'd never really liked Brad. But when I played her the recording, when I showed her the police reports and the mechanic's testimony, she crumbled. I held my daughter while she sobbed in my living room, the same room where Brad had sat 6 months ago, pretending to comfort us while the man he'd paid counted our loss as profit. The trial took 8 months. Brad pleaded guilty to avoid a longer sentence. Negligent homicide, insurance fraud, attempted theft. The judge gave him 15 years. With good behavior, he'd serve at least 10. The insurance company tried to claw back the $4.2 million. My lawyer fought them. The policy was legitimate, and I hadn't committed fraud. After 6 months of legal battles, we reached a settlement. I kept half. The insurance company took the other half. Sarah got a divorce that was finalized 3 months after Brad went to prison. Now, a year and a half after Margaret's death, I sit in our kitchen and drink coffee from her mug. Sarah comes by twice a week. We don't talk about Brad. She's dating again. A nurse she works with. Nice guy. Quiet. Nothing like Brad. I think about that moment in the bank when Frank told me to wait. If I'd signed that wire transfer, Brad would have the money. The investigation might never have happened. Margaret's death would forever be ruled an accident. Justice would never have been served. But I also think about the cost. My daughter's marriage destroyed. Her trust shattered. The revelation that the man she loved had killed her mother for money. Some prices are too high, even for justice. I still keep Margaret's reading glasses on the counter. Still expect to hear her voice when I walk through the door. The grief counselor says that's normal, that healing isn't linear. But I wonder if I'm keeping her memory alive or just refusing to let go. Frank stops by sometimes. We don't talk about what happened. He knows I know he saved me from losing everything. That's enough. I invested the remaining $2 million conservatively. Treasury bonds, index funds, nothing exotic. Nothing promising 18% returns. I don't need more money. I need to make sure Sarah's okay. That when I'm gone, she'll be taken care of. Last week, Sarah asked if I'd considered dating. Said Mom wouldn't want me to be alone forever. Maybe she's right. But right now, sitting in this kitchen with Margaret's ghost, I'm not ready. Maybe I never will be. The morning sun hits that spot where Margaret used to sit. I close my eyes and remember her laugh. Not the accident, not Brad's betrayal, not the trial. Just her laugh, bright and clear, the sound that filled this house for 38 years. That's what I choose to remember. That's what I choose to keep. And that has to be enough.